Good evening and welcome everybody to Monday, October 7, 2024 version of the Committee of the Whole Community Development meeting for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal. We're sitting here at Council Chambers tonight in Spencerville. Online, we have the mayor's online today, not feeling well, and hope you're feeling better soon. But looks like absentees, we have absent is Brody Fahrenberger, our community advisor. We'd like to take the opportunity as well to welcome Tim Fisher, our new township planner. So welcome, Tim. It's been a pleasure to meet you and looking forward to working with you. So welcome aboard. Other attendees we have in the audience, we have Doug Poirier from Total Equity Construction for a delegation presentation, and we also have Dave Simpson for a subdivision agreement discussion as well as a delegation. So welcome aboard, and as well to community members in attendance as well. So thank you very much. All right, moving on then, I need an approval of the agenda. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Martel and seconded by Councillor Smale. Okay, so all in favor? Oh, sorry, any questions, comments on it? Nope. Okay, all in favor? Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so then moving on to number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest or the general nature thereof. Does anybody have anything to declare on here? Nope. Mr. Mayor? Nope. Okay, good. All right, so then moving on to number 4, we have business arising from previous community meetings, if any. Does anybody have anything from the last meeting? Nope. Mr. Mayor, nope. Okay, great. Then we're moving on to number 5, delegations and presentations. And again, we have Mr. Doug Poirier from Total Equity Construction talking about affordable housing and an opportunity there that we're going to talk about. So Mr. Poirier, up to you, sir.
How's everyone tonight? Great. So I'm sure you guys have already sifted through the presentation package. Yeah, affordable housing is something near and dear to the heart for me. My parents were both low income, so by the generosity of people that gave us affordable housing, I was a recipient of that generosity. And can we pull up the presentation?
Yeah, we've had a technical fun this in the last week or so. So
That's okay.
Thank you much. Yeah.
Yeah, so I incorporated my company in 2021, and in December of 2023, completed my first development in Cornwall, Ontario. It's a 4,800 square foot fourplex, which one of the units are geared for affordable housing. So that project was a pretty big undertaking and a great learning experience. And in Ontario, we're definitely short of the housing starts that we need to hit for the quota. And my father-in-law and I were talking about developing affordable, and it's something that I think is possible with the collaboration of private developers and municipalities. So we'll get into that in a second. So if you go to, the next slide. Yeah, so there I am working a commercial job site in Ottawa. And there's our first building, the fourplex. So they're 1,200 square foot units. And essentially they have their own enclosed mechanical rooms. So essentially it's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath unit. So the cool thing about this is that they could all be converted as condos and sold individually. So this was kind of like to showcase the company and look good on the portfolio. So that was the reason I built that. Now we're a small company, we're lean. We have WSIB and $2 million liability coverage. Of course, there's a lot, there's a lot of focus on affordable housing at this time. And there's all types of great initiatives that I'm sure you guys are all super aware of to make affordable housing possible. The focus I find is very much on rentals, and I'd like to see something done with freehold because the nice thing about freehold, it gives our fellow Canadians, like I think that's kind of the dream for most Canadians is to own a house. And I think that that dream is kind of slipping away. So if we build with that in mind, I think it's totally possible to make it happen. So how would we achieve this? So we came up with a 2-bedroom floor plan. So the units would be 600 square feet above grade, and then they'd have a finished basement of 600 square feet, giving a total floor space of 1,200. So we could have, it could be a self-enclosed house with own mechanicals, completely self-sufficient. So we really think that a pilot project of 4 houses on one single lot, so like on an acre lot, would be key to kick off that type of development. Now we could also look at different things if the price of land is right. Like we could look at half-acre lots with single-family homes, but to keep things affordable and add density. I think the best way forward is to have multiple dwellings on one lot with shared services. So they would share a well and a septic. So we crunched some numbers, we did the math, and 4 on like one lot of 1 acre is very comfortable. It could get squished a little bit more to accommodate like a 3/4 acre lot or even a half for 4, but we want to still maintain some type of yard space and green space. So, and we've also crunched numbers where we've looked at the maximum like on a single lot, which could be 9 of these dwellings, and that would give that would be on a 20,000 liter septic tank. So right now we're looking at a smaller tank, like the 10,000 liter max. So yeah, the next slide is just so basically we're looking at a price point for these dwellings of 260,000. So we figure we could build them and then we'd still like that's just for the house only. So that's a pretty good number when you calculate everything in. And they'd be turnkey, but that's without the land and without the servicing. So we believe that we could do communal services. So we'd have the shared septic system, and then also we'd have a shared parking lot and a well with a pump house and pressure tanks to facilitate those dwellings. So the next slide has some floor plans. So there's the main floor. Yeah, there's the main floor. And it's funny because we're actually at Ernie's house, and that's exactly his living room. So we measured it out, and we were sitting there, we're like, man, this is nice and cozy. And we were like, okay, well, if we just added a basement, there you go. You have 600 square foot above grade and 600 below. And that could easily be turned into like accessible units because the staircase, you could put one of those lifts on the side. And so people could comfortably get around. And it's actually, it's very spacious and very modern too, open concept. So we can look at the basement. Yeah, and there's so that's the site plan sample. So that's a 1 acre parcel. Essentially, you have the 8 spaces, parking lot for 8 cars, and then you'd have a walkway so people could access their dwelling. There'd still be like maybe like 6 to 8 feet apart from each house. And yeah, the pump house is located at the front, so that'd be tied to the well. And then we could have the hydrometers also on that pump house. So there could be the 4 disconnects, and then there each house is all individually connected to the grid. And yeah, so it's I think here, yeah, we have a 215 by 200 lot shown with the green space, and yeah, that's that. Now, the next slide is how we build affordable houses. So it's great to look at, the modern initiatives done with net zero and passive house, modular, but these do come at an expense. So we would be adhering to the Ontario Building Code minimum, which is still pretty good. The building code has come a very long way. There's still R22 in the walls, R60 in the attic. So it's nice and cozy. We'd use standard size construction materials. So standard 8-foot studs. We wouldn't get crazy and do vaulted ceilings or anything. We'd design a simple and efficient repeatable structure. So to speed up the process, use builder grade products. So we'd have key accounts with suppliers, and we can pass along those savings to the future homeowners. We can implement durable and affordable products. So vinyl siding, shingle roofs. Yeah, we can maximize the number of dwellings per lot. And we have that central parking lot that would, I believe, bring the cost down. On the next slide, there's some renderings that are courtesy of our friends at SymbiArc Architecture. So that's basically to scale. So there's the front and the back view, and also inside, yeah. So we're looking to collaborate with different levels of government. Would love to hear your thoughts and your suggestions on this concept. So we think this is like a simple and repeatable process, which is key to keep things affordable. Ideally, we'd be looking for like a lot that's abutting a main road to start, because once you start like a whole subdivision plan, that can get very costly. So just for a pilot project, it would be ideal to have something abutting a main road where you can just throw in a culvert and an entrance and basically get to work. So that's pretty much it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Doug. Good presentation. Appreciate the time. And so now, does anybody on council have any or on committee, pardon me, have any questions or you want to ask? Yes, Mr. Smith, Councillor Smale.
How's that? Anyway, I'd just like to know, when you were saying, is it like a condominium? Like you'd be paying per month for the wells and the septic and the parking and the snow removal, that'd be all on top of your mortgage and stuff?
Yeah, like when we were looking at it, like the way to do freehold, but to maximize the density of dwellings, it kind of comes with the territory that we believe it'd have to be a land lease. So we'd have to look at that closer in detail. You'd want to probably have a lifetime land lease. And then also, yeah, like to keep things uniform around the whole property. You wouldn't want someone to, one of the owners to neglect their property. So I think it'd be better just to include as minimal fees as we can, but then the snow's taken care of, the grass is maintained, the path, like the walkways is taken care of. And then, yeah, like all the septic is emptied yearly and the pump house is looked after. So that's, yeah, I don't know if there's a way around that for having multiple dwellings on one lot. But we could also look at the half acre solution of just putting the single home on half acre. But then the pricing does come up because you need individual septic and well. So that's what we're trying to negate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Thank you, to the chair. Thank you, Doug, for the presentation. There's a couple things. I think it's very reasonable, $216 a square foot. What it comes out to, a 1,200 square foot home. The thing is, you want to put 4 on an acre. Well, we only have in rural, we allow 1 acre lots per house. So you'd be looking at 4 acres for 4 homes. I do believe that's right. It's maybe the planner or Wendy can correct me on that, but
If I can through the chair. So the minimum lot size in the rural area is 1 acre. And to have more than 1 dwelling on a lot, unless it was like an additional residential unit, then you'd need a zoning bylaw amendment.
okay. So that's something that you would have to look at. Besides that, I'm going to go down there, Cornwall myself, to take a peek at your fourplex. I like the idea. I think there's something that can be done if it's, if it means affordable homes, and at 260,000 is affordable. That's pretty nice to hear. And if there's something that this council can look at down the road and make suggestions on that, like amendments if we have to, then you have my blessings on that. So anyways, thanks very much again for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Councilor Martel, do you have anything or?
I do actually, through the chair. Where is your fourplex in Cornwall? I'm down there often. I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's at the corner of 10th and McConnell, 600 10th Street East. It's like the 3rd busiest intersection in the city. Can't miss it. Yeah, I think if you go down, is there a picture of it at the bottom? It's got a lot going on. It's the wood grain siding with the hardy board, and it's got like brick cladding, brown. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you have any comments?
Bear with me while I try to figure out how to unmute. Thanks, Doug, for the presentation. Couple of quick questions. The Cornwall build is a fourplex. Is there a basement in that build? Like that building looks, like a really big, looks like a very large building. Are they 1,200 square foot main level?
Yeah, so this one, it wasn't exactly an affordable build. This was more for just my portfolio, really. So the units are 1,200 square feet, and they're built slab on grade. The first 2 ground floor units are on grade, and then there's 2 upstairs.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So each level is 1,200 square feet. Like each unit, like the top level is 2,400. The bottom level is 2,400.
Exactly. Yeah. So each unit, individual unit is 1,200 square feet. They have the 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
Okay. And what you're proposing is basically half of that?
Well, essentially it would still, each unit, like the units of these dwellings would be total, because we're using the basement. The thing is, to keep things affordable, a basement is really, I believe, the most affordable way. So by splitting up the 600 square feet on the main floor and then 600 in the basement, and you finish it, so then you have the total of the 12, and it's quite comfortable. And yeah, it's more affordable this way.
Yeah. Okay. And so you said you're looking for help from all different levels of government. If you were to work with Edwardsburg Cardinal, what would you be looking for?
We'd be looking for a contribution of land that we can negotiate on that price. with the intent of the end goal to do something affordable. So of course, the better the prices on the land, the more we can serve our fellow Canadians and give them something affordable to purchase. So that's the conundrum of affordable housing.
Sure.
How do you do affordable if land isn't? So we're trying to solve that.
Okay, and my last question would be, there are other players in the market that have approved designs or that are building. I don't want to say anybody's name specifically, but they're looking for contractors to actually build them, not build them, but actually put them up. They're more of a modular style. Any interest, in potential partnerships with other affordable unit builders?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's my whole goal. I want to do something in the social impact. I'm a volunteer of some organizations for like nonprofit stuff for housing. So definitely would like to collaborate with anyone that's moving the needle in that direction, because it's I think it's an important calling right now. So
Good.
yeah.
All right. Thanks for the presentation again, Doug. It looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as far as, I always have a list of questions, but we did a good job of checking off all the boxes I had. I did, you were looking for something that made sure we had, that as a conversation piece for a property, something close to a hydro line and close to internet. Internet's always tricky in the country. Is when you say close to internet, could that be like a wireless internet as well? Or, what's your, what's your stopping point on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a minor detail. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have Bell Fibe or anything that fancy, but I mean, yeah, as long as it's people can get some like type of internet, I think that's what's important, even the minimal. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question I had is, you mentioned a septic system, 20 kiloliter septic system can do up to 9 houses. I believe you said so I'm not sure if we have data on that, but have you also looked at the idea of maybe having, being able to have more houses by doing it in a freehold, but connected manner, sort of in sort of townhouse format sort of thing, or?
Oh yeah, I think that's a great idea. At this point, I'm just like looking to start small and build up, right? But depending how many I guess people are involved, the bigger projects are totally possible. I just think that yeah, this time it's safer to start small and do a proof of concept and then move up. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. Any other questions triggered anybody here? Nope, looks good. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Poirier,
Thank
and look forward to chatting with you in the future. Thank you very much. Okay, so then moving on to the second delegation, the subdivision agreement with David Simpson and Lockmasters Meadow. Mr. Simpson? I should add, by the way, as well, and we actually kept pretty close to it, but I was a little forgetful. But we're trying to target around 10 minutes for the delegations. But if we go over a little bit, that's fine too. So all good.
I'm going to go shorter, so I'll contribute my time to Doug. But thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I really haven't much to say this evening, but hopefully in advance, I'm thanking you for promoting Lockmaster Meadow, and Wendy and everyone else on staff for the help that they've given us. The only thing I was wondering about this evening was at what point can we perhaps sit down and have a conversation a little bit more detailed about securities required and how to move forward with that part of it. We have our funding lined up. The only thing that's held us up a little bit was the amount of the payment for securities. And so once we figure that part of it out, we're anxious to get going. So that's really all I wanted to say. So thank you again, Wendy, and everyone else for all your help.
Thank you very much. We'll just see if there's any questions in a second, but is there anything, Wendy or anyone on staff that we have as far as a process for that? We're talking about the agreement tonight is on at 6A1, I guess, 6A2, pardon me, to talk about it. And if we pass this along, does that sort of close the conversation about it? I guess is the question that I think I would first have about that part.
Yes, through the chair. So the subdivision agreement has a clause and a schedule in it for financial securities, and the amount of financial securities would need to be approved by council. So I suppose like committee could have the discussion tonight about financial securities if we I'm not sure. So the committee would need to make a recommendation to council about what those securities are through the subdivision agreement. If we want to separate that and not make a decision on subdivision agreement tonight and just have a chat about financial securities, we could certainly do that. But I guess when council approves the agreement, like it's still two people would still sign it. So Mr. Simpson, if he didn't agree, we could have further conversations on that.
Okay, thank you. So I guess what I'm saying is, if we pass this along to council and council, it'll be in there as a $2 million as an agreement that can be, if conversation eventually got to a point where that could be reduced, or was the plan to reduce that could be dealt with after that decision, or is that once it's done, it's done?
Suppose we'd have to amend it because it's adopted by bylaw, and then
Yeah.
council would have to amend it if they want to change it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so on that note, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Simpson? Nope. Nope, exactly. It is coming back up, like I said, down the road. So thank you very much, Mr. Simpson, and we're hoping to make some good progress today. So thank you very much. Okay, so on that note, moving on to 6A1, live land use planning development agreement for 27 David Street. And who is talking to that one tonight with us? That's gonna be Wendy. Thank you very much, Wendy.
Speak to that. Thank you, to the chair. So this item is to review a draft development agreement for the severed portion of severance on 27 David Street. This is to satisfy a condition of severance. So the severance application, it's going to create a new 0.094 hectare lot with frontage on Charles Street. So it's a through lot right now. It has frontage on David Street and Charles Street. The owners completed a hydrogeological study that was submitted with the application for severance, which reviewed water quality and quantity at the site in support of the reduced lot size in the R2 zone. The study makes recommendations for water treatment and well construction for the new lot. So a draft development agreement, as required as a condition of the severance, would implement those recommendations that are in the study. So the draft development agreement is attached to this report on the agenda tonight for review. Let me read the recommendation. Sure. Okay, so the recommendation is that committee recommend that council enter into a development agreement with the property owner as attached for the severed parcel of application B3823.
Thank you very much, Wendy. All right, Mr. Deputy Mayor, any comments from yourself?
None by me. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Martel, no. Councilor Smale? Mr. Mayor? I don't see him here. I don't see him put a hand up or anything. So, okay, perfect. Okay, so with that then, I just wanted to make one thing, when I read this, making sure that I understand it correctly. So their plan would be for the severed land, their intent is to have a single family dwelling home back there. Is that what I read?
That's correct. It's a single dwelling, not planned to be constructed right away, but sometime in the future would like that option available. Having
Okay.
it registered on title means that the information we gain from the study isn't lost. It'll be there on title for a future owner.
Right, thank you. That's good. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, did you have something? You can nod. Perfect. Okay, good. All right, thank you very much then. So with that, I'm looking for a mover for this. Do I have a mover on this one?
So move.
Moved by the deputy mayor. Anybody seconded? Seconded by Councillor Martel. Okay, any further questions or comments? All right, so all in favor? Okay, let's call it unanimous. Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So then now we're moving on to 6A2, which is the subdivision agreement with Lockmaster Meadow, Edwardsburg Developments Incorporated. And on the agenda, by the way, for anybody looking for that, starts on page 70 and goes till 460 or something like that. So it's a big agreement, but I know we all did our work this weekend and read it well. So, all right. So with that, do you want to give us an introduction to that, Wendy? Thank you.
Thank you to the chair. So reviewing the draft subdivision agreement for the Lockmaster Meadows subdivision, this draft plan was originally received approval in 2013, and then an amendment was approved more recently in February 2022. The draft plan now includes 95 lots for single detached dwellings, and also that amendment approved a treed earth berm instead of the barrier to mitigate noise from the railway. The draft plan approval includes 62 conditions to be cleared by the developer. Condition number 7 there requires that the owner enter into a subdivision agreement between the owner and the township to the satisfaction of the township. A draft agreement is attached to this report. It's been reviewed by our lawyer and our insurer, and the recommendations were incorporated in the writing of the agreement. The owners received a copy of the draft agreement, and staff have requested an updated development schedule to the end. You'll notice I've highlighted that there, that's missing. We could, I'm sure, have that before this goes to council at the end of the month, if it does. Detailed designs and reports have been provided to township, and they've been reviewed by staff and peer reviewers on our behalf. The detailed designs and reports are included in the subdivision agreement, which requires the subdivision works to be completed in accordance with those designs. As a reminder, the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville is the approval authority for plans of subdivision, and final approval is given when all of the conditions of draft approval have been met. So reminder, the owner addressed council on July 22nd, requesting that the township consider reduced or alternative financial securities. An estimated cost of almost $4 million, including HST for the subdivision works, were provided by the developer, and those are included in Schedule D of the agreement. The agreement includes financial requirements in section 23, which is on page 102 of your agenda package. And they're further detailed in Schedule E, which is on page 116. The financial securities recommended by staff include a deposit of $2 million plus 2 lots to be held as securities to guarantee the construction and installation of the works within the agreement. I'm not going to read the recommendation yet. I feel like you guys will want some more. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Yeah, we can read that when we get to it as well. So, okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. They'll just open up to questions. So, Mr. Mayor, do you want to start first? That way I can get your thoughts. I know you're not feeling great.
Yes,
Sorry. That's okay.
Thanks, Chair. I didn't really have a lot of questions. Mine revolve around, I think, the potential to do something creative around the $2 million. I'm just not sure what those options are, but I certainly don't want to hold up. This has taken a decade, I think, to get here. And I certainly don't want to hold that up any longer. I want to see this get through to the counties and get its final approval. But I certainly don't want to create any if it has to go back and be amended, issues as well with how that $2 million of surety is going to come out. So I'm not sure if I have a question there, but I was hopeful that I know there's been discussion. I know that I think even maybe the new policy statements says something about different types of funding, and if it doesn't, I know that they're looking at allowing different avenues. So I'm hopeful that council would maybe consider the possibility of that. And I think the only other one that I had for concern, and when I reread, and there was a lot to read, when I reread the noise attenuation barrier, I'm not 100% sure but the way that I read the report was that because it fell under 59 decibels or under 60 decibels, 59, I think, or there was only one time it hit 60, that nothing further needed to be done other than, I think it was like the windows and forced air and something else. But I was wondering if, I think CN had suggested that a berm was supposed to go in with trees, or the idea was that it was going to be a berm for protection and then with trees for noise attenuation. I just wanted to, just curious if that was still included in it. And other than that, I don't know that I really have any other comments other than let's get the shovels in the ground.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, anyways, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. I think what we might do is actually, maybe we'll kind of split this into two conversations, and maybe first we'll focus on any comments anybody has pertaining to the deposit and everything else first, and then after that, maybe I'll come back to the rest of the questions about the package. So, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about with regards to that overall, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Ward, yeah, I'm in agreeable with the mayor. Probably maybe a little bit more. This has been going on for, I don't know, 20 years, I guess, at this project. 10 for sure, 15 for sure. 62 conditions. No wonder a lot of people don't get into the subdivisions if you have to go through that many conditions and the costs. And the cost is obviously a lot to meet these conditions. So I want staff, I mean, I'm just gonna, spade is a spade, to let's come up with something. Let's exhaust all options of helping Mr. Simpson on this matter. Now, I know staff's gonna probably come back and say, well, it's up to council. Well, that's fine. Then as elected officers, sometimes we have to make decisions, and sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're bad. So this is going to be a decision to see where we stand and to get shovels in the ground. So if anything we can do, I mean, there's got to be some kind of plan where we can help this gentleman reduce it, the 2 million of the finances for the down payment. Some sorts, whatever it's taking all lots back, or him giving us, if he sells maybe 10 lots to some developer up front, maybe he can give us that money as a down payment, anything. But we have to work with this guy and get the needle moving so we can get shovels in the ground. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Martel Councillor Martel.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm just going to echo what the deputy mayor said. It's been a while, and this is going to have a huge impact on everything else in the village. On retail, on recreation, on everything. So we need to have some sort of creative solution to the deposit. At least something we can look at. Throw some options out, and yeah, I agree with Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh. Whatever we can do to get the shovels off the back of the truck would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Smale, anything from yourself?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ward. I agree with what Tori said, and Deputy Mayor and Joe Martel, Councillor. I just, like, it's 14 years, I think it is, to be exact. He's been working on it, and nothing's been accomplished yet. So I think it's up to this council to decide, do we want a subdivision in our village to make it grow, to help with taxes and everything? And it's a great spot, and they build good homes. So I'm all for everything. Whatever we can do to help them, I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's I think we're all sort of on the same side of how do we make this work, and appreciating the fact that $2 million is a lot of money, and it's a lot of the budget you have for towards the development, obviously, to build more more homes and be able to get some of your costs recovered as early as possible. And so I took the different approach, and I don't know if it's a you know, what the likelihood of having this conversation is, but I do know we have to figure this out before we have a decision at council or have to do an amendment, which I'd rather not do. So I wasn't sure if there's other ways to look at this and you know, like, I assume the $4 million is building the entire road structure and all the infrastructure therein, as opposed to just doing the phase one part of the road and things like that, so. And you know, I think I'll allow, just in case it comes up, you know, if there's any conversation we can have as well, you know, I'll let Mr. Simpson as well partake if he has a little bit of comments, just smile comments, just to help us out with some of these. And the other thing that so I don't know what that cost differential looks like, and then what the impact is on the deposit you're looking at, because at the end of the day, we are, you know, we don't want to get this done, but we also have to make sure we're not putting at risk unnecessarily taxpayer money from other taxpayers in the area, and so we have to respect that. So there was that idea I had, and then the other conversation to be had is, you know, is there a mechanism at play here where the infrastructure towards the water facilities, can we do something to help, you know, with a debenture for Cardinal Water? But the risk there is, of course, that we have to make sure that we have that system built and being used, because you don't want to put, you know, an unnecessary tax burden on the rest of the water payers. It's supposed to be directed to the houses that get funded in that area. So, you know, my take on that whole conversation is, if there's something there that we can work on to help reduce that, you know, I think we're pretty firm on, you know, or we've got. I'm pretty firm on, you know, I'd like to maintain the percentage we have, but maybe there's a conversation we can have that reduces the dollars and figures that out, so that we might, you know, keep, I don't know, $1.3 million for a longer period until the end of phase two is done, and be able to then start phase two when at a certain point. So if you have any thoughts to that, or if we can want to have a conversation between yourself and staff to figure that, I think I'd really appreciate that kind of a thing to happen. So. Anything from you, Mr. Simpson? If you want, if you have to, you could speak into the microphone though, because that'll get into the audio better for us. So if you have any other comments to add to that.
Thank you. Thank you for all your comments. And what Deputy Mayor Dillabud indicated is that we are prepared to provide lots for security, but the timing is such that it'll take us 3 to 4 months to get it registered. And at that point, we can give the lots as the security, which will cover off your concerns with respect to, but I can tell you right now that if the bank registers a mortgage on the property to pay the $2 million, you will never get an opportunity to get back into the land, because if I default on the bank, they're going to take it and you'll have to refund the $2 million anyway. So you'll never get stuck. I promise you. We can register an inhibiting order. We can do whatever your legal counsel recommends, but you will never get stuck with a bill, and none of the other. And then just going back to the comment by the mayor, we are building a berm and putting trees across the entire berm to cut back the noise, but we do not have a stop on Shanley Road. And so the trains that go zipping through there, you hardly notice them. And the berm and the trees will virtually eliminate it. And all of the lots that back on the berm will probably have a premium, because we're creating a backyard oasis for them, where their lots will extend double and it'll go up into the berm with a treed top. If you'll give me a permit for a ski hill, sorry.
No, I was gonna say just one more minute to finish up.
And as far as internet, Bell has told us that they will upgrade the entire community of Cardinal as a result of what they're doing at Lockmaster.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that conversation. So does anybody have anything else to talk about with regards to the deposit? Nope. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to open up to everybody else for everything else. Then is there any other comments anybody would like to make about the rest of the package we have here? Mr. Deputy Mayor?
No, let's just get the shovels in the ground.
Okay. Mr. Martel? Nope. Councillor Smale? Okay. And I don't believe I have anything other than that we haven't already discussed or that we've discussed in the past. So on that then, Mr. Mayor, yep.
Yeah, I just wanted clarifications on the chair's words. Did so just in listening to the chair's words, I just wanted to make sure that I heard it right. Did you give you said what you wanted from staff was to not see a reduction in anything. But from my end, that sounded like you gave staff direction not to lower it. I didn't necessarily hear, anything from the rest of the group in terms of that. I just wanted to make sure that I heard you properly or didn't hear you properly.
Okay, yeah, just a second, but actually I'll clarify that in a second, but the CEO would like to have some words, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, just further to what the mayor was saying, staff would like some direction on exactly what you would like for when this comes to council at the end of the month.
No, I appreciate that. So what I was actually saying on my side is I'd much rather see if there's a way to like I said, with regards to that $4 million, for instance, how much of that is infrastructure on the roads, and if they only built the phase one, the loop, if you will, for phase one, and things like that, what does that do to reduce that cost, and does that have what kind of impact does that have on at the rate we're talking right now? What does that do towards the $2 million becoming a lesser number is what I was saying on that side. So that was the conversation I had there. And then the other one was about, is there any alternative that staff has that they can look to for us with regards to any way to do without too much risk to the ratepayers, do something? Is there something we can do with regards to the using the Cardinal Water system itself to help sort of pre-cover some of those costs? That was the conversation I was talking about.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, and I'm not really sure I heard anybody else take up that argument, though. That's sort of my point. So if we're going to give staff direction, I think it has to be as a group of 5, right? Respectfully, with fairness to the chair, until there's clear consensus around the table, I'd prefer to keep the discussion going until there is consensus on exactly what that is. I think the only thing that I've heard that there's consensus on is that we would like staff to offer us some alternatives and to be very creative with those alternatives. But I certainly haven't heard any consensus as far as how to get there.
Yeah, neither I, Mr. Mayor, for sure. Yeah, so, and I didn't think I had consensus on any of my ideas either, to be honest. I was looking around the table and I didn't feel that was the case, but, to further on that discussion, then, is there any thoughts to anything that's been said so far at the table? Any other comments we want to have? Or do we just want to proceed with it as is, I guess is the question. So, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Well, not as is. I agree. We have to come to we have to pull all stops to help Mr. Simpson reduce the cost of $2 million upfront in cash. We're not going to, that's my feelings. I'm not going to accept this $2 million as a deputy mayor.
Okay, so is there anything that you have as ideas or anything you'd like to see staff do, I guess is the other question.
I absolutely do. Have staff go back, be creative, and again, try to sit down with Mr. Simpson and cut some kind of a deal where staff is happy they can bring it back to this council, because I'm not happy of taking $2 million from them at this stage. I'll take the risk. It'd be a pilot project this council takes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Martel?
Thank you through the chair. Again, I'll echo what the deputy mayor said. I think everyone at the table wants to try to cut that $2 million down, but no one at this table is an expert in how to do that. So what we are asking staff is they can, you know, lean on the people that know these things, the lawyers and the planners and the whoever, and to come back with some options. I don't think anybody at the table is against using a couple of lots if that's what it has to do to bring the cost down, you know. But I wish I could pull the answer out, but I don't have the background.
Councillor Martel, or sorry, Councillor Smith, anything from yourself?
Thank you, Chair. I agree with 100% with the mayor, deputy mayor, and Joe echo all their thoughts. I'm just excited to see it get done. I mean, and being voted into this position, and you can help somebody improve the village and bring people into the village with new homes and stuff. We should not stand in their way. We should accommodate them as best we can. So I'm hoping that the staff, like Joe said, Councillor Martel said, people that know what they're doing, come back to us with some great answers and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything for yourself, Mr. Brown? So I'm not hearing anything that leads me, and I purposely didn't have this motion forwarded yet or seconded because I'm not sure where we're heading on this. And so anything else from yourself, Mr. Mayor, that you want to see here? Because I don't think we have a path yet at this point in time.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm not sure exactly how long delays, like, I don't want to delay this. I mean, I've said that, but I also know that to have an amendment to it is probably going to take longer than a 1 month delay on this, or putting this on the shelf for 1 month to have staff come back with some other options. I know we've talked about them before, about what those options are. And I don't know that staff was that really wanted to move move those sort of ideas forward. But I think coming out with a solid direction to at least to give us the option to consider those other options or any options available. I would prefer to put it back to staff in that way, and then see this for, next month for a discussion. That way we don't have to make a ton of amendments or slow the process down by making wholesale changes. We just, when it comes to satisfying the township to the financial portion of it, then let's come up with something creative to get it done. I don't necessarily support the lowering of the total, just a creative way to get to the total. That way we're still at that 50%. That's the specified mark. But if it's the sureties or whatever the case may be to get us there, I'd certainly be supportive of that. And I guess from a direction standpoint, I would just, I would probably support a deferral back to staff to come back with creative options on, the $2 million.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Mr. CAO, you had some comments you would like to have?
Yeah, through the chair, we don't necessarily need to defer this another month. If we have clear direction, which I believe we do, it might be a bit of a rush to get it for next week for administration and operations, but at the very least, we could bring it back to the council table at the end of the month with an action item with those things in there. So this would have to be ratified at council anyways. So we can present at that time.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. And I think I would be in favor of having something like that if we could have that discussion then. How does the rest of the council feel? Mr. Mayor, how do you feel? Well, I have your picture disappeared again. You okay with having the discussion at council at the end of the month? Perfect. Okay. Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I'd just like one comment, duly chair, to Mr. Fisher, our new planner. Have you ever encountered this with your 20-some years experience of helping out or having any ideas on this subject? I just like his 2 cents tonight might make me feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy.
Mr. Fisher, if you would be so kind, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, I've addressed some similar issues before. You can be a little creative. However, there are some rules and regulations that we can't really overlook. And again, the securities are there to protect the township in any development. So I think we can definitely sit down and talk with the individual and maybe come up with some alternative concepts here. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Councillor Martel? Nope. Okay, good. Councillor Spell? Okay, so with that, I just need to do nothing essentially. We just let this defer to, or should we vote on it to come back to council for ratification? I'm looking to the clerk for advice on this, I guess.
Through the chair, as the CAO outlined, if somebody could just make a motion to defer this until the council meeting where staff will have additional time to prepare a report.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so does anybody want to put a motion forward to defer to a council meeting this upcoming? That we have that from Mr. Martel and seconded by Councillor Smale.
Excuse me, before that motion is presented, is that for the end of the month or is that for next week?
The end of the month, council meeting.
Yeah, that would be the end of the month for the council meeting.
Very briefly, very briefly.
If it's to the end of the month, it's something that council can agree to whatever the recommendations are and still pass it on the 28th.
That would be the goal, yeah, but.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that. Thanks.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have a motion on the table then to defer this to council on October, what is it, the 28th, I guess it is, October 28th meeting. So moved by Councillor Martel and seconded by Councillor Smale. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. So we'll further this conversation, and it sounds like it'll be a topic just basically on that one action item. Everything else seemed to be okay, but we'll see what happens in the time. So, all right. So on that note, then I think we're going to bring this one to an end of discussion. So moving on to 6B, then work and economic development. There is nothing on the agenda for tonight for that. And so moving then on to 6C, play and recreation, and we have a recreational coordinator here to talk to us about summer day camp and the aquatics program, both of those things. Sorry. Absolutely, for sure. Just to note that Councillor Smale is just leaving the table for a minute. They'll be right back. But anyways, we can still have a conversation. So Rachel, if you don't mind, that'd be great to hear from you. You can just roll from one end to the other. I think it's all just one report, really. I don't think we're receiving it right. It's just information. So yeah, perfect. Okay.
Thank you. This year was another successful summer at summer camps. In Johnstown, we had 156 campers, and in Cardinal, we had 120. This year's themes were sports, Survivor, arts and crafts, and everyday heroes. Overall, Survivor themed session 2 was the most popular. The campers enjoyed the daily team challenges to promote teamwork and from friendly competition. Campers also benefited from swimming lessons, free swim, and the Johnstown Junior Lifeguarding Program at the Johnstown Pool. The Johnstown campers enjoyed using the new pickleball courts, basketball net, and the baseball fields, while in Cardinal, campers made excellent use of the arena, baseball fields, and basketball courts through all 8 weeks. The fire department visited both camps in the final weeks to provide fire safety education, and the camp had an opportunity to be sprayed by the fire hose, which was a fun and memorable experience. Some of the challenges that were noticed this summer was the camper demographic. The Johnstown camp majority of participants were aged 5 to 7, making up 51%. Children aged 8 to 10 were about 38%, and those aged 11 to 12 just up to 10%. Similarly, at the Cardinal camp, ages 5 to 7 were the largest, represented at 54%, and ages 8 to 10 were 40% of the camp, and ages 11 to 12 were only 5%. Staff were hired early spring to ensure all training was required training could be completed before summer began. Each team member underwent customer service training, allergy awareness training, concussion awareness, and WMIS. And staff also participated in 2 training days along with pool staff, 1 full day and 1 evening session. And the evening session included hands-on scenarios with the fire department. This summer, the township employed 16 camp staff members, 10 full-time and 6 part-time. This staffing structure providing flexible coverage throughout the summer. Additional part-time staff also offered crucial support in managing campers with behavioral challenges, leading to smoother operations and better individual attention. One of the challenges faced for staffing was not all staff were able to commit to 40 hours a week for 8 weeks. Leaders in training are volunteer students that are a valuable component of every year camp. They played a key role during free swim sessions to help meet pool admission standards and also assist in leading camp activities. Some considerations for summer 2025: continue hiring 16 camp staff, keeping in mind that not all staff will be available for a 40-hour work week. Provide additional training for managing children with behavior challenges. Equipment, invest more in outdoor equipment, and adjust the camp age range from ages 5 to 10 or 5 to 11-year-olds to better align with younger camp demographic.
Thank you, and I'll jump in and give the aquatics report. Our aquatics director was a little under the weather and was not able to come tonight, Kim Durant. So I'll briefly just go over just a couple highlights of the aquatic side of the summer program. Just talking about our spring courses that were done at the beginning of the year. And then on page 2, it talks about the programs that were run in June. The Johnstown Pool opened earlier this year for the first time, which was a good success. Page 3 at the top just talks about the valuable partnership that we had with the South Edwardsburg Public School this year. All groups except for junior and senior kindergarten received 3 swimming lessons that focused on the basic skills. A lot of these kids got that for the first time, so it was certainly a benefit to have that program. And the reason we were able to do that is some of our lifeguards were university students that were home early, so we were able to partner with the school board for that. So it went really well. Page 4 just talks about the various programs, the profile on the aquatics team. Regarding our staffing, we had a total of 12 new lifeguards this year, which it's good on one hand, but then it's also, it leads to challenges as well as being able to properly oversee the training for them in their first couple of classes and first days on the deck and what have you. What is beneficial for us is that we did for the second year have the deck supervisor. The deck supervisor just kind of facilitates during the morning lessons so that everyone is in their right groups and that. So it's not the actual individual that's teaching the lesson that has to coordinate getting the kids on and off the deck. The deck supervisor does that, so it's completely beneficial for us. Page 3 just talks about the success. Again, the 12 new staff was good. We do meet the ratios based on the Ontario regulations. We did have 2, that's not in here, we did have 2 inspections, one at the beginning of the year and one right near the end of the year, and met the requirements. Challenges similar to that Rachel had in the day camp. Not all of our lifeguards want to work a 40-hour work week. They prefer to work 20 to 30 hours, some less. Some only want to work Monday to Friday, some don't want to work weekends. So it certainly is a challenge. That's why we had 23 lifeguards this year. and we were able to successfully run a good program. Page 7 at the bottom just talks about the swimming program itself and the lessons. Our lessons were up again this year, over last year. At both pools, and the swimming lessons the public swimming was also good, had good numbers. Some of the considerations that we're looking at for next year is morning lessons at both pools, evening lessons only in Cardinal. The uptake for swimming lessons in the evenings at Cardinal was far greater than in Johnstown. Johnstown had higher numbers for public swimming in the evenings in Johnstown. A lot of that is supported by the minor ball that is there basically 5 nights a week. Again, pool attendance the numbers were good. Aquafit numbers were extremely well throughout the year at both pools. That was 2 nights at each pool. And we had our aquatics Aquafit person in, and she did a great job. Couple of the new opportunities that we're looking for next year is making a splash for all sensory friendly swimming. There are a number of kids that we dealt with this year that have either behavioral issues or just other issues in general. And the one-on-one focus with a lifeguard, as opposed to being in a group setting, was very beneficial for the child and was received very well by the parent. So that's something that we will try when we can to accommodate next year. But again, it'll all depend on what we have for availability of lifeguards. So that's basically Cole's Notes version of that. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the magnitude of the reports. There's a lot of stuff here, and I had a lot of good comments. But I'll open it up to the floor to see if anybody wants to comment first, and I'll bring up the rear with anything that I have that nobody else mentioned. So, Mr. Mayor, I see your pen is up there.
Yeah, sure. I finally figured out how to take this thing off of mute, which is good. So to Rachel and Kim and Mike and the entire camp staff, and to the entire pool staff, it was a fantastic summer program this year. I think everything was very well received and very well done in the community. I heard many compliments when it came to the aerobics classes. I think even once I heard that there wasn't room in the Johnstown pool to put another person in there. So all positives there. The other one was from the South Ed school. The early opening was extremely well received by almost every parent that I talked to have the ability for their kids to do a lesson while in school and to be able to walk there was fantastic. Something that in a rural community we're super lucky to have. So compliments and well done to everyone there. My questions are regarding, I have 2 or 3, if the chair will indulge me. First was, I didn't see anything on this about the boredom buster trips, and I was wondering if they were a success, or if they maybe should have been part of this, or if we saw them at another time, I forget seeing them. Just wondering how successful they were. And the other questions revolve around the suggested changes for next year and the reduction of hours from this year. And if the reduction in hours this year were due to lack of staffing or lack of usership, and what measures that we put in place to try to, I know it says that programming wasn't affected, but what was the need to shrink the hours by 6.5 hours? And then next year, the suggestion is that we do not have night lessons in Johnstown. And I struggle to think that, we made the investment in both pools, we put heaters in them, we spent an extremely large amount of money to get both those pools up to the quality they're in. And to me, they should have more hours, not less hours. So I'd like to just hear staff speak to that and about the boredom buster trips, but otherwise everything's fantastic and a job well done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll maybe Rachel or the rec coordinator want to talk first about the boredom busters, and then we'll we can refer back to the director of recreation. Sorry. Yep.
This year's Boredom Busters, we went to Mount Cascade twice, and the bus was full with 43 individuals.
Thank you very much. Is that good enough for you, Mr. Mayor? Sorry, you happy with that?
Just again, I guess looking forward to next year again, are they going to be part of the reductions, or are they going to be continued or expanded upon?
Through the chair to Mayor, we hope to continue. We will continue the Boredom Buster Day trips in the coming years.
Okay, good. Thank you. Mike, yep, sorry.
Sure, no problem. Through the chair to the mayor regarding the reduction of hours. So we did reduce some of the hours on the Friday night at both pools. And that was just based on attendance from the previous 2 years that showed that Friday nights were very slow. As far as the reduction of swimming lessons at the Johnstown pool, again, that's just based on numbers. Far greater registration numbers are in Cardinal. And we could have went 3 to 4 nights in Cardinal as opposed to just the 2 nights. By having it all in one location, then we can have the guards all in one location, where if we're running half programs at each, it's a little bit more difficult to have the appropriate staff in place at both locations in the evenings for the swimming lessons.
Mr. Mayor, anything else?
Sorry. No, I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Deputy Mayor, anything from yourself?
No, I echo, great job, guys, but I didn't like to see the reduced hours for that. And when we say South Edwardsburg School, I'm just wondering if we can't touch base maybe with Centennial and see if they can't start participating in some of this. If we talk to the principal, maybe they can get transportation from Spencerville to Johnstown to participate in some of these functions with South Edwardsburg. I'd like to have them both on board on that if it's possible.
Through the chair to the deputy mayor, we'll certainly we'll speak with them. South Edwardsburg are the ones that approached us. But obviously it's a lot easier to get those kids to the pool where they just walk down the street. So you know, whether or not there would be funding in the budget from the school board to bus the kids is something that they would have to discuss, but we'll certainly bring that up for sure.
Or a community can get involved too in donations and so on. And, you know, we can do different things to get them bused from Spencerville to Johnstown, I'm sure. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Martel.
Thank you through the chair. No questions. Just I'd like to reflect on what the mayor had mentioned about the quality of our recreation programs. I get calls from residents concerned about the roads and concerned about bylaws and clean yards, but I rarely, if ever, get any concerns about the rec department. That's a good sign. Well done. Thank you.
Councillor Smail.
Thank you through the chair to Mike and staff. You're doing a fantastic job. I've been to both areas all summer long, and it's just amazing how many people are there, and it's being used really well and doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to echo, of course, everything's being said. The staff is just doing a fabulous job of, you know, essentially making us look good up here, you know, which is, we appreciate that for sure. It's just been great up here. Nothing but compliments. But I did have just a question about with regards to the camps. You were talking about more training surrounding persons with behavioral issues. Is it just training, or do you think it also might require some staffing as well? Is that part of the conversation?
Through the chair to chair. It would potentially be both. This summer we did have an additional staff member in Cardinal to assist with a child with some behavioral issues. So it would be potentially both extra staff and a little extra training.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I did not want to let it slide that there was also, no, okay, that there was also a wish list at the bottom here. So hopefully we'll see if we can address that wish list as well on during budget time. I'm sure pool noodles will be a discussion topic for sure. So, yep. Oh, sorry, Councillor Smale. Sorry.
Well, thank you. Through the chair to Mike or Rachel, doesn't matter which. For these behavioral children, is there any way to get that out to, like, some parents have these kids but don't want to bring them over because of behavioral problems? Same as there's a lot of foster parents in the area that have children that are like, are we going to advertise for that, or is it just word of mouth, or how did you start this to begin with?
Through the chair,
Thank you.
sorry, through the chair to Councillor Smale. Some of it starts through the social service department that are sponsoring kids that are attending some of our day camps and some of our swimming programs. That's where it originally has started.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other comments or questions? Oh, Mr. Mayor, I see your hand up there.
Yeah, it's probably an appropriate point. I know we've said thank you to our community partners before in Giant Tiger, Greenfield, and Ingredion for their generous, donations and support of both our campers and our aquatics program. But they certainly, they're great industrial partners, great partners to have in our community, and they certainly put a lot back in. So take the time. I forgot that in my earlier comments. So thank you again to them.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think I'll leave it at that. That was a really good way to end that conversation. Okay, so then moving on to number 7, then inquiries and notices of motion. Does anybody have any inquiries of inquiries of or notices of motion? Nothing at the table here. Mr. Mayor, anything from yourself? Oh, okay, good. Moving on to question number 8, question period. Is there any questions from anybody in the audience or in the participants? Sorry. Nope, nothing there. Okay, good. Nothing from the media. That's good. Going on to number 9, closed session. There is no closed session tonight, so we're going to move past that one. Moving on to number 10, I need a mover for adjournment. Moved by the deputy mayor.
So move.
And seconded by Councillor Smale. So there we go. All in favor? All right. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great week.